Compound interest is easy to ignore because it starts quietly. But given enough time, small amounts of money can begin to act like a much larger force. Most people think compound interest means earning a little extra money on savings. That is true, but it misses the bigger idea. Compound interest is what happens when growth begins to grow on itself. Imagine you put away $1,000. It earns 5% in a year. At the end of that year, you have $1,050. The first $50 is interest earned on your original money. Now, the second year begins. You are not earning 5% on $1,000 anymore. You are earning 5% on $1,050. That gives you $52.50 of interest, not just $50. That extra $2.50 may seem tiny, but it is the key. Compound interest means your interest joins the team. It stops being a side effect and becomes part of the engine. With simple interest, the calculation keeps going back to the original amount. If $1,000 earns 5% simple interest for 10 years, it earns $50 each year. After 10 years, the total is $1,500. With compound interest at 5% per year, the same $1,000 grows to about $1,629 after 10 years. The difference is not huge at first, but the gap gets wider the longer time passes. The most important image in compound interest is not a straight line. It is a curve. Early on, the curve looks almost flat. Later, it bends upward because the balance has become large enough to produce meaningful growth by itself. This is why time matters so much. Time gives compounding more rounds to work. Each round adds growth to the previous growth. The money does not just move forward, it carries its past progress with it. A good way to picture it is a snowball rolling downhill. At first, it is small and slow. As it picks up more snow, it becomes bigger. Because it is bigger, it can pick up even more snow with each turn. Compound interest depends on three main ingredients. You need money to start with, a rate of growth, and time. If you keep adding money along the way, that gives the engine even more material to work with. If explanations like this help money feel less mysterious, consider subscribing. We keep the channel focused on clear finance concepts that you can actually use without hype or pressure. The money you begin with is called the principal. If you deposit $1,000, that $1,000 is the principal. Interest is the reward or cost calculated from that amount, depending on whether you are saving or borrowing. The interest rate tells you the speed of growth. A 5% rate means $5 for every $100 over the stated period. A higher rate grows faster, but in real life, higher expected return usually comes with higher risk. Compounding also has a rhythm. Interest might be calculated once a year, once a month, or even more often. The more often interest is added to the balance, the more chances that interest has to earn interest too. For example, $1,000 at 12% for 1 year becomes $1,120 if it compounds once at the end of the year. If it compounds monthly at 1% per month, it becomes about $1,127. Compounding frequency matters, but it is usually not the main story for beginners. The main story is still time, rate, and consistent money. Monthly compounding is helpful, but decades of compounding are much more powerful. There is a formula behind compound interest, but the idea is simple. Your balance is multiplied by 1 plus the rate, again and again, for each compounding period. The repeated multiplication creates the curve. That repeated multiplication is the part people often miss. Simple interest feels like addition. You add the same amount again and again. Compound interest feels like multiplication. The base number keeps changing. The strange part is that compounding often feels disappointing at the start. A small balance creates small interest. That does not mean it is failing. It means the engine is still small. Later, the same percentage can create much bigger dollar amounts. 5% of $1,000 is $50. 5% of $100,000 is $5,000. The rate did not change. The base did. This is why starting early can be so powerful. If someone invests $1,200 at the end of each year for 40 years and earns 7% annually, the ending amount is about $240,000. The example is not a promise. It simply shows what time can do. Now imagine the same yearly amount for 30 years instead of 40. At the same 7% example rate, the ending amount is about $113,000. Starting later changes the math, but it does not make the effort worthless. Many people learn about compound interest and feel regret. That reaction is understandable, but it is not useful for long. The best time in the math may have been earlier. The next best time is the earliest realistic moment you can begin. Compound interest also explains why steady behavior can beat clever behavior. A long stretch of ordinary growth can sometimes do more than a short burst of impressive growth. Brilliance helps, but time gives ordinary decisions room to matter. Adding money regularly changes the picture. Each new contribution becomes another small worker inside the system. It earns its own return, and later, that return can earn a return too. This is why automatic saving or investing can be useful. The habit keeps feeding the machine even when you are not thinking about it. Compounding works best when it has time and when it is not interrupted too often. Taking money out does the opposite. A withdrawal removes the dollars, but it also removes all the future growth those dollars might have produced. Sometimes withdrawals are necessary, but they do have a compounding cost. Compound interest is not always your friend. When you owe money, interest can work against you. If unpaid interest gets added to what you owe, then future interest can be charged on a larger balance. This is one reason high-interest debt can feel so hard to escape. If payments are too small, much of the payment may go toward interest instead of reducing the original balance. The debt can keep rebuilding itself. For compounding to help you, the growth you keep must be positive after costs. Fees, taxes, inflation, and bad investment results can reduce what you actually keep. The headline rate is not always the real experience. Inflation matters because money is not only about the number in the account. It is about what that number can buy. If your balance grows, but prices grow too, your real purchasing power may grow more slowly. When people talk about compounding in the stock market, they usually mean compound growth, not guaranteed interest. Investments can rise and fall. A long-term average can hide many uncomfortable years along the way. Reinvestment is a major reason compounding can happen in investments. If dividends, interest payments, or fund distributions are paid out and spent, they leave the system. If they are reinvested, they can become part of the growing base. The biggest misunderstanding is thinking compound interest is magic. It is not magic. It is math plus behavior. The math is repeated growth. The behavior is patience, consistency, and avoiding decisions that constantly reset the clock. Another misunderstanding is thinking small differences do not matter. Over short periods, a 1% difference may look minor. Over long periods, it can create a much larger gap because that difference also compounds. A simple shortcut is called the rule of 72. Divide 72 by an annual growth rate, and you get a rough estimate of how many years it takes money to double. At 6%, the estimate is about 12 years. The rule of 72 is only an estimate. It is useful for intuition, not precision. It helps you feel how rates and time connect. But real accounts can be affected by fees, taxes, changing rates, and market ups and downs. The real lesson of compound interest is not that everyone will become rich automatically. The real lesson is that money decisions have echoes. Saving, investing, borrowing, spending, reinvesting, and waiting can all become more important over time. If you want compounding on your side, the basic idea is simple. Start with what you can, add when you can, Keep costs and high interest debt in mind. Give the process enough time to matter. Compound interest rewards patience because it turns time into part of the calculation. At first, you do most of the work. Later, if the conditions are right, the system begins to carry more of the load. What part of compound interest still feels confusing to you? Leave a comment with your question or suggest the next money concept you want explained in plain English.